Finding Hope After Heartbreak by Jancar. If I turn back time to where I must relive my most painful breakup, the first thing I do after it, before hopping into meditation, journaling, therapy, gratitude, or any method of breakup recovery, is focus on finding hope to recover in the first place. For without hope, I just sit in my room and feel sorry for myself, teary-eyed. Instead of participating in my own rescue, I just carry on making out with entropy, stagnating and wasting my life away. And the same principles apply to you. Hope is the catalyst and facilitator of strong mental and emotional health. Without it, your whole apparatus shuts down. If you don't believe there is a future after your breakup, that your life will improve in some way, that you'll get better, you will die spiritually. After all, if there is no hope things ever get better, why do anything? Why try to make something of yourself? Why not just shoot yourself in the head and get this shit over with? Understanding hope. There are two major ways one can apprehend hope. A, as an emotion that makes us participate in our own rescue, and B, as a coping mechanism that gets us through the aftermath of loss. At its core, hope is when you still give a fuck about something, despite your breakup, despite any adversity. But as soon as you find yourself indifferent to it, you are brushing at the contours of hopelessness. Hopelessness is a belief that nothing matters anymore, that your future is meaningless, and that no matter what you do, you won't get better, that the world won't get better. Put differently, hopelessness is nihilism, and not the good kind. The rejection of meaning, the belief that all is meaningless, the belief that everything is fucked. And this is where a lot of breakup survivors get stuck. They think that to recover, they need to better manage or overcome things like anxiety, depression, misery, addiction, and their obsession about reconciliation. Now, don't get me wrong, focusing on overcoming these things does help, but it shouldn't be a priority right after your breakup. The priority should be finding hope, for it's hopelessness that is the source of all those emotional problems. And this is not an overstatement. To paraphrase Mark Manson, the dude who wrote an entire book on hope, chronic anxiety is a crisis of hope. It is a fear of a failed future. Depression is a crisis of hope. It is the belief in a meaningless future. Delusion, addiction, obsession, these are all of the mind's desperate and compulsive attempts at generating hope one neurotic tic or obsessive craving at a time. How to find hope. The way one finds hope is by finding something to live, strive, suffer, and in the end, die for that's more important than their breakup. At best, this something is a purpose, the biggest hope sandwich one can eat. However, I'm not referring to the spiritual bullshitty version with all the lofty expectations tied around it. No, what I'm referring to is the simple, down-to-earth purpose of what should I be doing in my life that I like, that I'm somewhat good at, and that I can make a living around and that feels important. Figuring this out, especially now that we have stripped it of all the lofty woo-woo cosmic significance bullshit, is far simpler than you think. Usually your purpose will be right in front of you, and it could also be more than one thing. When I started my internet business in 2016, I've been dabbling with all kinds of platforms, looking for one I was born to base my career around. I wrote blog posts, filmed YouTube videos, recorded podcasts, designed pins for Pinterest, and ran Facebook, Google, and Reddit ads all at the same time. Basically, I've been all across the digital entrepreneur landscape, and looking back, the only thing that really stuck with me was blogging. But despite writing 3 books, 100 of posts already, it still didn't occur to me. I still kept searching for that one thing I was meant to do, even though it was clear as day that I should double down on blogging. On the one hand, what held me back was my lack of self-awareness. Finding a purpose comes down to observing the mundane and obvious aspects of one's life after all. But on the other, it was my fear of failure. But hey, that's how purpose works. Chances are you already know what your purpose is, but are just too afraid or insecure to pursue it. And that's okay. Don't beat yourself up about it, just work on overcoming those fears and insecurities, and you will eventually get your purpose. It's as simple as that. Sometimes don't even need to do anything else but grow up. Pursue hope, even though it's a ghost. As much as hope is paramount for leading a happy and fulfilling life, the uncomfortable reality is that it's nothing but an illusion. The universe doesn't care whether you find solace or put a bullet in your head. It doesn't care about your happiness, your recovery, your mental health. It couldn't care less. It's you who cares. So you desperately delude yourself that there is some grand importance behind accomplishing your post-breakup goals, that there's some great meaning behind bravely enduring and eventually overcoming your suffering for whatever cause. But there is none. There is no grand importance or great meaning behind it. You've just made all that shit up. Even your self-importance is imaginary, and your actions mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. You are nothing. We are nothing. Any rebuttal to those things is only your hope talking. But that's okay. It's a healthy form of delusion that keeps hopelessness and nihilism at bay with it. So be brave and embrace it. Hell, go and actively search out your hope. But not just any hope, a sustainable, realistic, robust, and powerful one. A hope that cuts through the infinite static a breakup entraps you in. A form of hope that can carry you into calmer, happier days.